What's going on, everyone? It's GreatScots here. I'm going to be recording my first episode recorded for the Grand Tacticians, the Civil War, 1861-1865. For those of you who have followed the game or maybe take notice of it recently because it went into early access back on August 21st, this game has a lot of promise. I've played through several campaigns. The one we're going to start today is the one that I've played through several times. It's the 1861 CSA campaign. Yeah, there are bugs in the game. I think I've been pretty fortunate in that most of my bugs are fairly limited. But at this point, I would say I can usually make it to about mid-June or so before the bugs kind of accumulate. And it could keep playing, but it kind of loses its fun after that. But it is a good campaign early on, and it's what I know. So I figure if I'm going to do one of these, I might as well do something we all know. So we'll get started here with a new campaign, CSA 1861. We're not going to do the original policies, and I'll tell you why. I want on a policy, or these three policies here, I want them to give me something that I probably won't get anyways. So I would never recommend taking Old Dominion, because you'll always get it. No matter what policies you select, Virginia, North Carolina join. At least every time that I've tried to not select it, I've always got them. Kansas slave state is one that I will select, because without it, I've not been able to get Kansas to secede. You will see it on this map if you're not familiar. We can kind of see it down here already. Kansas, it'll start out pretty favorable to the CSA, but I can never get it to secede. There aren't that many towns or anything to take. And taking the few that are there, it's not enough to get them to leave. So that's why I choose it as a policy. It gives me something that I'm not going to get otherwise. Slaves to the West, I don't choose it for similar reasons that I don't choose Old Dominion. New Mexico territory joins us anyways. They don't appear on this map down here in the kind of bottom center left. We can't see it. You can recruit from New Mexico territory. I think the only benefit I got the one time I chose it was that I could recruit from the Arizona territory. Which, it was okay, but it wasn't that great. The second one I will take is Apostles of Disunion. It ensures that I'm able to get Missouri and Kentucky to secede. So that means that starting out, we're going to get Kansas. Pretty soon we'll get Missouri. Tennessee will join us. Kentucky will take. We'll have high support in Delaware and Maryland. Frequently by late May, we got 60% or higher in both Maryland and Delaware. Never got them to secede. Don't know if they can. But this is something that we want, because in my view it still gets me something that I might not be able to get without it. Filibustering to me is similar to Slaves to the West. It doesn't get you any new territory on the map. It doesn't get you any great economic bonus that I can figure out, although I know the devs are still working on tweaking the economy. It's another recruitment source, which is okay, but it's not that great. For the same reason I don't take native allies. If you can see down here on the map just north of Texas, we're going to get Indian territory. It's going to join as CSA, although we're not going to be able to recruit native allies from it. There are some numbers you could recruit, but we're going to do other things to make sure that we have numbers to recruit. Southern Pacific Railroad, I've chosen one or two campaigns. It didn't seem that great, because we're going to do industrialization and we're going to target subsidies to transportation, among other things. I really don't see the benefit of this relative to other policies. I have never chosen arms agents, and I'm thinking maybe it would be a good idea to do it. But I'm not going to do it on this playthrough. We never seem to have a shortage of quality arms for recruiting, and so I kind of figure if it's not that broken, don't worry about it. But that leaves me with a choice between King Cotton and industrialization. It's something of a coin flip between the two. I'm going to choose industrialization. I think it has a slight edge over King Cotton. The population is important. The higher level of industry, I believe, is going to be important, especially as the devs get everything with the economy working and perhaps impose new restrictions on production. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be my third policy. I've talked a lot at this screen. I think if you've followed other games, you've seen this screen. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the 1861 CSA campaign fired up here, and we'll get into it. There's not, in my view, that much to be done in February. I don't really start recruiting armies until war breaks out. I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to have them around for a while rather than maybe 3-month contracts. And plus the regiments, I believe, are still a bit smaller. I'm not going to listen to this. You can listen to it. It's fine, but it's nothing great. Yeah, America is divided. That's right. We'll see if we can get the music going here in the background in a bit. I don't know if I have to zoom in and zoom out. There we go. That's the trick if you haven't learned. We're in 1861. The first thing I do want to do is just pause it because I do want to get my policies rolling. Industry and agriculture are really the hallmarks of what I'm going to do. Certainly level 1 military is going to be important, and funding is going to be important. Having played 4 campaigns until June, I don't think diplomacy is worth it at all. I seem to get actually better likelihood of British intervention when I don't select them and target subsidies. So I'm going to focus on having the strongest internal base that I can, and so that means the industry to produce weapons, agriculture to feed everybody. It also kind of weans perhaps the British to intervene, but I'm not going to chase that chimera too far. I'm going to try to make sure that as CSA we have the forces necessary to maybe produce a favorable result. Military is going to be important, certainly level 1 I would say, and funding. I usually take the first 2 policies. For this funding 1 and funding 2, there are a lot of policies that come with them. I don't know that I've ever gone beyond that or would need to, but certainly I think level 1 at the very least makes sense. Militia Act, yes. Some folks I think don't choose this because they're worried about being blamed for the outbreak of the war. I've never actually experienced a penalty for that. If the devs change the game and they make it so that that is a thing, then that's too bad. We'll adopt our choices. I'm turning diplomacy down to nothing, industry up to everything, agriculture up to everything, transportation is going to be important. Recruitment actually does provide a bit of a buff. I think there's some lag to it, but it's nice to have the numbers you need at the beginning, and so maybe something like that looks about right. For right now, my finances have not bugged out, and so those all look right. And I think other than that, well, there is one more thing I want to do. We can do it. We are rolling here in terms of the time, is I want to move my 2 militias into position for the outbreak of war. I think we usually move Beauregard to Greenville, and then down here we should have Florida. We should be under Chase. Yep, still under Chase. And because one of our early targets is going to be Kentucky as well as Missouri, I think I want... Chase is going to be a little far west, maybe, but we can still get Paducah, Columbus in Kentucky. And what I found is that basically we're going to get an army to spawn. The Western Army spawns over here in Fayetteville. We just march them up to St. Louis, and then Missouri secedes. That's pretty much all I have to do. I have it up to 10 times speed, so we're going to rock through this as quickly as possible. If you want to see the starting... Haven't seen this bug before. Did we go to 1860? Well, no, we didn't, because the maps or the calendar says 1861. So I haven't seen that. I don't think it really matters. Ignore this stuff on the right, but everything else looks pretty standard to the beginning of the game. Numbers are small. In past experience, the European relations down here never changes, although I think they actually do change. Some of these numbers lag and never show up, other times they do. But for the most part, we're going to let those 2 armies get into position. We're going to let the history play out in the background as fast as we can. And once we end up in war, we're going to start recruiting troops. We're going to start moving armies and all that good stuff. We'll zoom out to keep some music going. I will say that, it's beta. I've already said that. The game is still impressive. It's hugely impressive. Before you ask or wonder, I don't have any subscribers. I don't have any deals. There's nothing I benefit from this, except that I like strategy games. I think one of the first kind of tactical games I played was probably elementary school. I think it was Robert E. Lee's Civil War. I think that was the name of it. That was a great game back in the, I think it was mid to late 90s whenever that came out. But yeah, I've played other games, Civil War games, and I enjoy them. I mean, other titles too, the various Romes, those sorts of games. So I'm interested in real-time strategy games, and the Civil War is interesting. And as much as people are complaining about the little bugs in this game, if these basically 3 devs weren't working on this game, we would all be sitting around wishing that somebody would make a game like the one they're working on. I think this game's strengths so far are probably at the kind of highest level of development. So this map, I think, is great. And you'll see in the battles, well, maybe we'll see in the battles that the battlefield overview maps are of similar quality. They just have a very interesting texture, interesting script. There's just something about them. I think everybody that's seen the game has commented on just how good the maps look up here, and maybe a little bit less so as we zoom all the way in. I think the devs have been pretty straightforward that they're not interested necessarily in the most intense visual appearances at the lower levels, something you might get on a Total War or other label, because it's not really about the micromanaging of battles and maybe zooming in on particular locations. Maybe long term it's something they can work on, but it's a small team, and so they're doing what they can right now to try to get playable campaigns that aren't going to break. I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me, but we are. I mean, the good news, if you can call it good news, is we're about to be in a civil war, and so we're going to get. Oh, we are in a civil war. See, this is okay. Good to know. We're paused here, but you see, Virginia has seceded, North Carolina has seceded, as scripted. That is supposed to happen. I do not see our Western Army out here, though. Maybe we have to move. Yeah, we have to move forward a bit because the war actually hasn't started. States have seceded. We're on the verge of secession, but it's usually around, I guess it's March 6th in the past, that the armies start appearing. So we will see those momentarily. We should get one up here at Winchester. Yeah, okay, so one at Winchester. We'll get one, I think it's down by Manassas. It's Hampton's division or something, spawns in Richmond. Okay. I'm going to check the policies because I think I've missed opportunities to select some policies. Yeah, industrialization, wow. Those went through faster than I remember. I don't see any benefit to waiting to produce policies later. I'll momentarily jack this up just to see what we can get. Yeah, I want King Cotton 2 for the internal benefits as well as the maybe external luring in of the British. We can't get, well, we might not be able to get military 2 yet. Tariff Act, yeah, the foreigners may not like it, the British in particular, but that's the way it goes. I would definitely do print notes 1 at this point. And I'm not going to arm civilian warships only because I don't know that we have all that many. I'll be honest, I have done absolutely nothing with my navies ever. Don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's prophetic. It's true. But not what I'm concerned with. Hold up, hold up, hold up. We need to reduce our subsidies because I think, yeah, we only have the 6th. Although since we just seceded, let's bring up the right number of policies. Yeah, research those. Military 2. Core, yeah, I think we'd like that. I'll be honest, one of the other things I've not figured out despite the several run-throughs is how to get more than, I think it's 1 division in an army. So we'll take that. I'm going to hold off on government funding 2 yet because I have 2 acts that are going to alleviate our finances. Our finances are about to take a hit. Because I like to hit the ground running with these armies. Yeah, we did. That's right. And we start off with relatively small armies. There's no real advantage to waiting that I'm aware of, so I'm just going to start recruiting. I also rarely recruit cavalry. I haven't yet seen the point. If somebody wants to convince me that they're worth it, I tend to detach skirmishers and use those kind of as cav light, and I never really have a problem finding the enemy army. I mean, if we get into a battle, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's usually not too hard to find out where they are. So I'm not going to do anything fancy. Again, this is not a finished game, so I really don't care. And I don't really think you guys care what kind of outfits or uniforms I give them. And since it doesn't matter to me either, we're just going to go like this. It's infantry and artillery. The ratio I kind of like is probably 3 infantry for every 1 artillery. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2, so maybe 1 more. I'm recruiting from Virginia so far because that's where the army is, and the closer they are, the shorter their ETAs. So their ETAs, yeah, they're all less than a week, which is not terrible. No, we don't want to do that yet. Army of the Shenandoah under Johnston. We certainly want to get him troops. He's already starting off. Yeah, he's going to have Stuart's Cav. It is what it is, but that tells me he's going to need some infantry, and so we'll take infantry there. We'll take another one from North Carolina there. I may go a bit south because I know the Army of the West is badly in need of troops, and I don't want to take all the ones that are close by. Okay, so Florida doesn't have as many as I'd hoped. Oh well, then we'll get some from Georgia. Gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 plus a cav. We'll do 1 more infantry and 1 artillery. Georgia and the Arty. Okay, so that's going to be good for the Army of the Shenandoah. Yeah, the Army of the Northwest starts real small. And the problem is, this Department of Pennsylvania, what has happened in the last 3 campaigns is they move north, and then they move west, and then they go for Wheeling, and then they come down to Grafton. And so they get pressed pretty early. Only has 1 infantry brigade with mixed muskets to start. I would look for people in, well, I don't want to take too many from Tennessee because there are the 2 militia armies that are going to go through Tennessee. So I guess I'm looking to pull from, I guess South Carolina is going to have to pony up some troops for these folks. Georgia can contribute. We still have Hampton's division in Virginia, but they don't get pressed too hard too early. So maybe I'll snag some troops from them. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infantry. Welp. Thanks, Virginia, for your commitment. And now we got to get to Artie. See the prop. We'll take them from North Carolina. The reason is that if we pulled them from South Carolina and it's 3,000 troops, they have just enough that if I need or want an infantry regiment, I can take it from them. But North Carolina's too low to be able to provide me with one yet. Maybe the recruitment subsidies will work, maybe they won't. We will find out. We had 2 other armies, which now, I think I'm a little late moving these guys, but that is what it is. We're going to want to eventually drive for Lexington, Louisville, and then Covington and Cincinnati, even in Ohio. And I guess we can do that. We can either move up here. I guess I'll do that. We'll put Beauregard up here. I don't know why it's facing matters, but it does. So they have these smaller regiments because they were militia, so it's only a 4-gun artillery. That's almost not even worth counting. But we're going to recruit. I think I can pull that last one from South Carolina, so I will. Florida looked pretty short all around, so I'm gonna still get something from Florida. I'm gonna get 2 actual batteries from them, and I think we're gonna pull from Georgia. I guess this will be the last one from Georgia. And so after this we got to look south, so we could get Alabama or Mississippi would be fine. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 infantry. So we'll get another from Alabama, and we'll get Mississippi to contribute that. So Beauregard will be ready to boogie. We're going to move Chase up to the border with Kentucky, and we're going to build out that army because there ain't much there at the moment. We'll get 2 brigades from Mississippi. We will get, looks like 2 more out of Alabama. We need, that gives us 5. We need 1 more. Arkansas, perfect. It's close enough. I know we didn't draw any from Texas, but we're going to need, I think, Louisiana and Texas to staff the Western Army. So we'll take that already, and we will take, what the heck, we'll just take them both from Arkansas. Okay. That makes the Florida State Militia. We have 1 more to go. This is the Army of the West. We will move them. We're just going to go right into Missouri, and we're going to just drive straight for St. Louis once we get our forces. Basically 1,800. So that's basically like 2/3 of a regiment. That's half a battery. I'd rather give them more than less because they're not going to have that much support out here. Once the game gets going, those other 2 armies that are going up the middle, they are going to have quite a bit to do in the Ohio, Indiana, Illinois area. They may also move into Pennsylvania and Virginia. Alright, so we're going to get 2 batteries. My recollection is that the units from New Mexico took a long time to get in the army from the west before, but that is what it is. I'll call that 3 infantry brigades. Texas is going to contribute 2 more, even if they don't know it yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Want another one? Come on, Texas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and we'll pull one from. Wait, where's Louisiana? Louisiana, perfect. Okay, so we are in the, and you can see that the ETAs on these guys are not. Yeah, so that's probably a mistake taking them from New Mexico. For whatever reason, I mean, I understand that it's west, but the infrastructure may not be that great. That's probably what they're modeling, but that is just, it's almost a month to get those batteries in. But they're going to be marching for the most part. Let's get some music going here. Okay. It's going to be a lot of marching. I'm going to kind of wait for the armies to show up. Oh, we did not give anybody to Hampton. Who's basically got a third of a regiment and half a battery. Yeah, and in my rushed. Oh wait, no, Tennessee. Tennessee will actually make this an army, and we'll give it a battery. We'll give it 2 batteries. Others may say, like, why are you building the armies up so fast, so quick? Because experience has taught me there's no real good reason not to. The finances will be able to bear it. You'll see. I mean, how it goes. The debt kind of plays in the background, and it doesn't seem to be that hard a thing. Plus, if we get large enough armies and we get them moved, we can get other states to secede, we can knock out some of the smaller Union armies a little bit slower to mobilize. Sometimes I don't think they get the Militia Act done until way after we do. And so they're a little slow moving at the beginning, but we'll just use that to our advantage. It looks like Chase is in place, but I doubt any of his forces are there. Okay, yeah, some of them are getting in soon. I'd rather have the armies somewhat complete before sending them forward. I believe this is now the Department of Pennsylvania moving out. I thought that's what that was when they went off the screen, but maybe it's just their superior ability to camouflage themselves. I do not know. But for those who are despairing, it seems like we're waiting around a little too much. It ain't that bad. We can actually move Hampton over to here because there is, I believe this is Williamsburg. Yeah, and it's a Union, and Department of Virginia is usually not big enough to beat us, and I certainly don't think they're going to be big enough once Magruder in Hampton's division gets the rest of his men. Okay, so we can see that we now know the Department of Pennsylvania is leaving, which, again, for anybody looking at this map and kind of scratching your head like, huh, that's a strange move, because what happens if the army of the Shenandoah moves up to Frederick and then moves to Baltimore? Well, that's exactly what I do. So, yeah, I mean, they're still working things out. I just get used to it. But that's how I would do it. I wouldn't worry too much about chasing the other armies. I tried to chase the Department of Pennsylvania through here. I'm actually going to move this army back because I want to give it as much time as possible to get its units in place. The Army of the Shenandoah, I have no problem sending up to Frederick because I don't think they're going to know what to do. Army of Northeastern Virginia is large, certainly. As you'll see at some point, hopefully, maybe not in this episode. I don't have a particularly high opinion yet of the AI's ability in battle, and so I'm not too worried if I'm outnumbered, even if I'm outnumbered 2-1. As long as we get a map with a decent choke point, we'll be alright. Yeah, impatience has got the better of me. Don't recommend necessarily doing this, but just going to start moving some armies in here. I don't think there's too much in their way that's stopping them. Once Beauregard, maybe we're going to get one sooner than I thought. Army of Potomac says we have 13,000 men. Let's see how it goes. So this is the Manassas Junction map. This is usually pretty favorable. I think we'll see where they put us on here, but since the choke points tend to be in the center to the bottom right, it actually doesn't really matter if we come in on the left or the right side. I would imagine, consistent with the map, we're going to come in from the south and left, and so that's going to kind of put us in a... The map should look somewhat okay, and that's what you get for thinking too fast. Talking fast. I don't think fast. We're not, but we're still on the good side, probably the better side. So those blue arrows, if you can see up in the top right corner,